C.J. Stroud led the Texans to a 5-1 start to the season, but he struggled since week 7. Not only has he thrown more interceptions and touchdowns, he ranks 31st out of 32 quarterbacks in completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, and total QBR in that span. RC, what did you make of Stroud's struggles yesterday?
Well, I think it can be two things. I think there's a little miscommunication between he and some of the wide receivers, and also sometimes CJ's pulling the string a little bit when he does have open receivers. You take the first interception to Mechie early on in this game, and it reminded me of something that happened with he and Nico Collins last week. See, here you're getting the drop of the zone, and Mechie is going to hook it up when he actually has space to continue running through the zone, and CJ anticipates and throws the ball as if he's going to continue in. And now you're going to see Nico Collins come open late here in the dagger concept. Murray is sitting underneath this. There's so much space to the top of the field that C.J. Stroud can throw the football to, and that reminded me of the interception he threw to Carlton Davis against the Detroit Lions. There is some uncertainty in C.J.'s game right now, whether it's the pressure or not having all of your complements of receivers every week, but they have to get past that if they want to go further in the playoffs.
Yeah, RC, to your point, I keep harkening back to last year was so phenomenal. That second year, people understand what you like to do and how you like to operate. But I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. It's very uncharacteristic for a D'Amico Ryans defense to give up so many explosive plays. Yeah. And to me, that was the story of the game against the Tennessee Titans. You see all of these plus 20s that we talk about in the week leading up to a game. This one with obviously Calvin Ridley running this long sail route across. Now, you expect some pass rush to get there, but that's a hard play. And then you look at Tony Pollard, explosive on the edge of this defense. This is something that also has started to creep in with the Houston Texans. They have to get a better hold on not giving up so many explosive plays, because if you look at the Titans offense outside of these explosive plays, it was very methodical and you could force them into mistakes. But these chunks that they gave up went for touchdowns majority of the time.
I think so. Here's the two things that I saw. One, people understand how to attack these two safety defenses. Both of the deep passes you shown, Westbrook Akine, it's a in and go on a quarter safety, and then we have the deep crosser that attacks another too high safety. And also on some of those big plays, there was a lack of effort. Kalen Bullock is jogging on one of the touchdowns. On a big Tony Pollard play when they're backed up, they allow him to break tackles of Ward, and nobody's continuing to the football. Derek Stingley misses the tackle. So there's some things they have to work on schematically, but you know defense is about will and want to.
Absolutely.
They need to get to the rock, and they need to get there in a physical way.
Good observation, bro.
You guys, the Texans still have a 91% chance to win the division, according to ESPN Analytics. The NFC North standings, the Lions, they're 10-1 for the second time in franchise history. They're sitting pretty atop the division. The Vikings and Packers right behind at 9-2 and 8-3, respectively. This is the first time since division realignment in 2002 that any division has 3 teams with a win percentage of 700 or better in week 12 or later. I mean, it's just the toughest, most talented division in football, especially at the top. Marcus, when you look at the division, is it clearly that Detroit is at the top?
Yeah, Detroit the best football team in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're breaking news here, but the one thing that I look, y'all know I look at the prism of the run game a lot when I'm determining what teams can actually make a run at the Super Bowl. And it's because we all know eventually you're going to need it. And as a D lineman, when I watch the Detroit Lions, the hard time that I have with thinking that somebody can defend them is because, y'all, they have 2 run schemes on one football team based on who their back is. And when you going through preparation throughout the week, you looking for keys and tendencies, and you almost got to separate 2 game plans per week.
Does that make it easier, though, or harder? I mean, serious.
It makes it so.
Tendencies, right?
But Dan, it makes it so difficult because think about if you had to play Kyle Shanahan's scheme and then go to a gap blocking scheme in one game, and it's not always a change when the backs come in, and then the physicality that we talk about with this team. But to me, that's what makes Detroit the hardest team to defend in the league, is because I've never been to a game where I said a football team got like 30 runs that you have to worry about in one football game. That's the problem that they give people.
In this game alone, Detroit converted 3 third and long on the ground. Marcus, as a defensive lineman, can you give a visual feeling of what it feels like when a team converts on the ground on third and long 3 times? All right, he's not on camera, but
we're going to see it when he comes back on camera. Just stay like that, frozen.
I just want you to explain. It is like having your heart ripped out. And the funniest part is, not funniest, but the most devastating part is, they're not really trying to convert those. What I mean is they're playing for fourth down because this is a team that uses all fourth downs. They're just, oops, we're so good at running the football, we converted, right? And I mean, that's why I agree with you that Detroit is the best team in the NFL, the best team in a very good conference, because that ability to use all 4 downs and to do it so effectively, it's just a nightmare for defense.
I mean, when you think about Detroit, I go back to that old video, that kid, God rest his soul. He's like, the best in the nation, right? Like, that's what I feel like. But also, the NFC North has turned into the SEC.
Yeah.
Right? You got the Minnesota Vikings. You have the Detroit Lions. And a great philosopher named Olivia Newton-John said, let's get physical.
Let's get physical.
Everybody in that division is physical. Yeah. When you look at the run game of the Detroit Lions, you also go to Minnesota, what Aaron Jones is doing there. And obviously the Green Bay Packers, they're a team, in my opinion, that we can't count out.
3-game losing streak. Jayden Daniels and the Commanders have been blitzed at the 5th highest rate in the league. Daniels has struggled against the extra rusher as he ranks 30th in QBR and completion percentage, 31st in yards per attempt. So let's zero in on the Commanders and exactly what's going on with them right now. Dan, what did you make of Jayden Daniels' play yesterday?
Forcing the football, and that has me concerned. I'm concerned about the offense as a whole more than just Jayden's individual performance. And I think, the question is, well, why is he forcing the football? I think, number one, not enough conversation of let's get Terry McLaurin the ball early and often, then predictable pass concepts. Terry was at the bottom of the screen. He's by himself. The Cowboys are playing their single high safety one-on-one. He's going to force the football up top to Zach Ertz on, again, what we call an outbreaking corner type of route. McLaurin wins. That ball should go to Terry one-on-one more often than not. The second thing is you're just assuming you're going to go routes by both receivers. Corners are playing off. This ball is just like, hey, I'm launching this to Noah Brown for no reason. If you're going to take a go shot, it should go to Terry McLaurin, because if it doesn't, then you can see Zach Ertz breaking open in the middle of the field. It looks like Jayden just takes that ball and says, I'm throwing it no matter what. And then I talk about some of the predictable concepts. I mentioned this last week. They run what we call sail a ton, a go or a post route, a corner and a flat route. Defenses know this by now. They're going to bait you into making those throws, and you can see kind of pulls it and forces that incompletion. That ball should go to the flat. So I think that Cliff and Jayden need to have a really good conversation of like, hey, Terry McLaurin's got 5 for 102, but 1 was 86. So he's got 4 for 16 yards. If McLaurin's one-on-one, all things equal, he should get the first look. That's not happening enough, and that's forcing some other errant decisions. And then Cliff's got to think of something other than sail, other than that 3-level pass concept in their play-action game.
Especially versus a defense that we've seen struggle so much with misdirection all year long. And I want to give them credit, because this was, I thought, their best performance, frankly, of the season, maybe, on defense. I mean, the expression, stop the run to have some fun. Well, they haven't been able to stop the run for the entire season, so they haven't been able to have fun in the pass rush until this game. I mean, they were containing them on the ground on early downs. And then on third down, just getting after it with the blitz, 75% of the time. Jayden Daniels went 0 for 7. I thought Micah Parsons was extraordinary in this game, but boy, DeMar being overshown. When they were sending him as an extra rusher, his speed is up there with, frankly, any linebacker in the NFL right now. That's the formula. The problem is the Cowboys haven't gotten to do any of that because they haven't been able to stop the run. But in this game, I thought their defensive line was actually winning at the line of scrimmage, getting penetration. Osa Digzoa jumped out to me, particularly as being very good penetrating against the run, and they had a great day.
I think if you're Washington, the question is going to be, because this is the story of Cliff Kingsbury's offenses. They start super fast. They catch teams off guard. The no-huddle helps them, and then they kind of plateau and fall off. What is going to be the answer? Because in Washington, it's no longer that much of an advantage, the no-huddle. Teams are catching on to it a little bit more. I think Jayden's got to get that bye week to get a little bit more fresh. I don't think he played as bad as the numbers said outside of those 3 or 4 forces. That's going to be the number one thing to pay attention to. What's the answer? What is the plan B or plan C for your scheme?
Yeah, and it's interesting because if they find that answer, I mean, they've lost their last 3 games, but they currently hold the last wild card spot. They have a 71% chance to make the playoffs. So all is not lost. They just have to figure some things out.
They got to get the ball to Terry more